Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to proceed with closing arguments at this point. So, Ms. Wyse, you may proceed.
Good morning. First, I just want to start by thanking you for your time and attention. Everybody's been listening to the evidence, taking notes, and paying attention. So I just want to thank you for doing that for the last couple of weeks. We're going to end where we started off. I want to talk about Dee Warner. We've heard a lot about Dee Warner over the last couple weeks. She was loved by her children, by her brother. She was married at the time. We heard that she was also kind of difficult, right? She was a woman. She owned her own business. You could love her. At times you could hate her. But we've heard what an amazing mother and sister Dee Warner was. I'm going to go all the way back, starting in 2019. We've got evidence that from January 2019 through April 2021, Dale Warner checked Dee's location over 2,100 times. 2,100 times. We knew during the course of that they also took vacations. They worked together. 2,100 times. This was the application that was used to find that location. You'll see he had to go into it. He had to hit view more, vehicle locate, and it would bring up the map. When the FBI agent was here, he showed you a handful of maps that the defendant kept with his handwritten notes on them of where Dee was and what he thought she was doing. We heard from Brian Bush, who was the ex-son-in-law of Dee and Dale Warner. Brian Bush indicated that starting in 2019, Dale approached him and asked him to purchase this small safe on Amazon. And the point of that purchase was because he knew that Dee and Zach had a safe upstairs in Zach's bedroom, and he believed there were documents in there, banking information in there. And he wanted to switch the safes out so that he could access that safe and see what was in it. Brian Bush purchased that safe on June 11th, 2019. He indicated it arrived at his home, and he took it and gave it to Dale so that Dale could switch out the safe. Brian Bush indicated that they purchased some trail cameras originally to keep an eye on the anhydrous ammonia on the property, but that Dale wanted them placed inside the home in a location where he could observe who's coming and going with documents that he thought were being placed in that safe. The defendant sends Brian Bush a number of text messages, places for cameras. And this final picture is where Brian indicated that that camera was placed, where that would have a direct view of the door of people coming in and coming out. He also indicated that on January 9th, 2020, he purchased a GPS tracker off of Amazon at Dale's request. Dale asked him to purchase this tracker so he could find out where the Hummer had been going, because Dee's vehicle was seen parked at Meyer for too long, and he didn't know what she was doing, if she was having an affair. So Brian Bush purchases this in early 2020. Dee finds it in the middle of 2020. She has Dustin Lally and Raquel come over. They remove that device from her vehicle. During the course of using that device, Brian Bush put that app on his phone, and he would locate the vehicle anytime Dale asked, where is that vehicle at? During the course of his numerous interviews, the defendant indicated that, no, that wasn't a tracker. That was a diagnostic tool I used in there. I only wanted to diagnose it. She thought I was tracking her. She was pissed. Brian Bush said, sure, we were going to diagnose it, but the sole reason that he purchased that he wanted me to purchase that, was to track that Hummer. We learned that Dale Warner asked Kyle Wagner, the IT guy, to clone Dee's phone. He wanted the messages, the calls, the emails. He wanted the contents of her phone. He took 90 photos of Dee's text with her son, Zach, which were created to his account in December of 2019. So in December of 2019, he put those 90 photos on his device. The relationship continued to be nasty, was not good. August of 2020, you want to treat me like I've done something wrong. You're the one who shouldn't be stalking me. You shouldn't be putting trackers on me and recording me. Remember what Dale Warner said during one of his interviews when he was asked, does Dee know you're tracking her with OnStar? I don't know, probably. Like, no big deal. I mean, husbands and wives do it all the time, right? She knew that he was stalking her and she wanted it to stop. February 18th, 2021, I see you're stalking again. Think about why you keep doing this. You're not happy. You're making it hard for me to be here. You want to be angry at me? You don't see that the way you treat me is going to continue to push me away from you. February 23rd, 2021. I'm really annoyed my last nerve with this shit with you. I'm ready to move out and be done with this. You treat me as if I'm not worthy of anything. If you love something, you want everything for them. You do not. You want to be in control so that the other person is powerless. I am not going to live like this anymore. Either stop or Lena and I move out. I'm sick of it. The week leading up to April 25th, 2021, we heard from Stacy Brody, the massage therapist. Stacy Brody indicated on a number of occasions, 8 to 10, she observed bruising on the body of Dee Warner that appeared to be a handprint, and she, in fact, grabbed her arm. And I want to show you something. And it's not going to be a nice photograph, okay? But I want you to look at it. Dee's left arm. You guys all see that? The last time Stacy Brody saw Dee was the Wednesday before she went missing. Dee was upset. She said, I'm tired. It's time to see a lawyer. We know she had talked about divorce before. We know they were in an unhappy marriage. I'm tired. It's time to see an attorney. And then the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. Terry. Text message from Terry. Nasty. Your own husband says you take Xanax because you're a mess. That's the truth. He told me and Terry. April 24th, 2021 is when she gets that message. She comes to Amber's house and she's distraught over that message. She was throwing up. She said, we're done. I'm selling everything. I'm done with the marriage. She had been telling him, things have to change. Things have to change. And they weren't changing. Amber indicated that yes, her mom had talked about divorce before, but she had never seen her like this. April 24th, 2021, the same day, Raquel sees Dee. She sees her mom distraught. Again, my mom has talked about divorce before. I've never seen her like this. This time was different. She was quiet. She was tired. She was going to tell him that night that she wanted a divorce, that she was selling the trucking company, and she was leaving. I want to remind you of what the property looked like. We've heard a lot about the property. You guys went out and looked at the property. It's a pretty big property. Building 1, I refer to as the old shop. A lot of other people have referred to it as the old shop. I think we've heard Top Shop. The red area in that building is because there's an interior camera on the inside of that building. And then you see the V going out, and that's again your field of what's being caught on surveillance. The north side of building 5 is the new shop, and again that area is also has security cameras put up in there, and you can see to the west side of the new shop the exterior cameras. Building 6 on the west side of that building was, so that building 6 was the office. The west portion of that office had surveillance cameras, and the exterior part of the office had a camera facing east. Building 7, the spray barn, does not have surveillance footage. You can't see what's inside, you can't see what's coming inside, you can't see what's leaving. April 25th, 2021. Todd Narrant came in here and testified that he arrived at the Munger farm approximately 3:25 and left the property around 3:45 a.m. for a scheduled haul. He indicated that the Hummer was parked on the north side of the house, directly behind those doors. He indicated that it was right there on the X marks the spot. Here at 7 a.m., you have the defendant driving around on the JCB to go do his farming chores. Every statement Dale has given is that Dee is snoring away when he gets ready to go spray that morning. On 4/26, when he's walking through the home with Kevin Greca, he points out where she's sleeping. Dale Warner pulls his JCB up to those back doors and loads his wife's body into that bucket. At 7:08 a.m., my Cadillac app shows that it's being accessed at 7:08 a.m. by Dale Warner. And what is being done on that app? The vehicle's being unlocked. We know Dee Warner kept her purse locked in her vehicle. Dale Warner says it himself on April 25th to Austin Hall. She keeps her car locked. She was looking for her keys. It's locked. Everything's a secret. Her purse has never been found. The next thing that happens is at 7:14 a.m. and 21 seconds, Dee Warner's phone stops communicating with the towers. It's dead. No service. Again, 7:14 and 57 seconds. You can see the JCB in between the cameras going to the spray barn. Although Georgia said she can't say exactly where that phone is, she described how there was a tower to the north of the property and there was a tower to the south of the property. And your cell phone's constantly trying to find the best signal. And so the signals are bouncing. I'm sorry, am I getting too far? I wonder. The signals are bouncing. And so during this time, that phone, that's a good indication that that phone is somewhere in there and turned off forever. Dale Warner then goes to the spray barn. We heard that it takes 30 seconds to remove those inserts. And he places her body inside there because he knows that she's not going to be found in there. Now this photograph, you look at that, and that doesn't do it justice. What did Detective Dreyer do? He found a similar safe at the store. 30 seconds to remove the inserts. 6'7". That photograph shows you exactly how much room is inside that safe. Same with that one. How do we know? Dee tells Raquel, Amy, Amber, and Zach that she's going to talk to Dale that night. She's telling them that they're selling the business and they're divorcing. She specifically had Amy come pick up their minor child so she would not be present for the argument. She has made up her mind. She is tired and she is done. Dee was found in her pajamas. Raquel said, I saw a photograph of the items that she was wearing, and those are her pajamas. Dr. Cho testified that Dee's clothing appeared to be pajamas. Detective Lieutenant Dreyer testified they appeared to be pajamas. And Dee would never leave her house in her pajamas alive. Again, I'm going to show you another photograph. No socks, no shoes, pajamas, no bra. Detective Lieutenant Dreyer didn't find any socks and shoes inside the tank when that tank was open. Remember that? Didn't find her purse, her cell phone, any of those items, but especially not socks and shoes. They opened the tarp up. No phone, no purse, no socks, no shoes, and in her pajamas. Obviously not everything was caught on surveillance. But Dale makes quite a few statements during the course of this, right? May 3rd, 2021, he makes a statement about what he's doing on the JCB that morning.
The tire marks out front, so on Sunday, when someone comes over here and they see the tire marks from the JT, well, sorry, forgetting whatever the yellow up to the porch, you recall, I mean, you know, it's the rest that they're, you know, the deep treaded. And so, do you remember? Did you do anything? You did it for us the other day for trash.
Remember, I told you when I went out, it came up. I forgot. I told him, JCB, I pulled it this way. I forgot someone running to the house. Great. I think I probably forgot my tools out and with so.
You said you dropped that over there, but you didn't say so. I didn't ask you.
No, I pulled out. Shit, I didn't get this. I ran in and grabbed it, went back out, and I went back around.
So you see him at 7 a.m. when he takes the JCB out of the dry fertilizer barn. But you can't see him on surveillance go up to the house or drive away from the house. Again, every single statement is she was in there on the couch when I came back in. Now remember, after Dale talks about bringing the JCB up to the front, he's asked about the Hummer because Raquel and Dustin saw the Hummer parked in front of the office when they got there that morning, right? So Dale then explains why Dee drove the Hummer the morning of April 25th, 2021.
You really, the reason for that, you don't, I mean, Don's right, the Hummer now, one down there, just what I just want to grab, what was her, what do you mean? The Hummer, when it was actually down there, so.
I think she was paranoid and thought there was still a tracker in it.
Okay, so you think it's what you down?
Yeah, I think she knew that this one could be tracked. She went on this one, and then she pulled out, went down there, put the ring on my desk, went back out, and said, "Oh fuck, he can track this too, because he knows everywhere I go."
So,
How did Dee get the Hummer to the office the morning of April 25th, 2021?
I mean, I can't say about the vehicle, the Hummer, would that have made the camera? Okay, so camera's not.
Well, the Hummer would have been on there if she went that way, but the Hummer come up and went this way, and the cameras in the shop don't reach out this far.
Okay.
The problem with that, well, a major problem with that, is the defendant draws this on the right side of the screen. He draws that X on the north side of the house. And he indicates that that is where the JCB pulled up that morning, where he pulled the JCB up so that he could run back inside. But if the Hummer's parked there, and Dee moved the Hummer, but she was sleeping, how can he park the JCB there? Those two things cannot be true at the same time. And he can't pull the JCB up to that door if the Hummer's in his way. The defendant then leaves the property at 7:48 a.m. to go spraying. He returns at approximately 8:12 a.m. So the first time he leaves that morning is about 7:46, and he returns at 8:12. 8:47, he leaves the property again to go spraying in Brooklyn, Onstead. Between 9 and 9:30 that morning, Raquel, Dustin, and their kids arrived for breakfast. It was common for them to show up on a Sunday morning. Again, why Dale had to get her body out of that house right now and hide it. Both cars were there, both of Dee Warner's cars were there, and they noticed that the Hummer, again, was at the office. They can't find Dee. They make breakfast, they clean up, and Raquel texts around, "Where are you?" No response. So they begin searching for her. Raquel and Dustin go back to their house. They call her. All of their calls are going to voicemail. They return back to the Munger farm around 10 a.m. Raquel looks around the office. She thinks maybe her mom and Dale are down there fighting because she sees the Hummer, and she doesn't want Lena to be around that. So they go to the office. No sign of her mom there. Raquel and Dustin then check at the Hardys, Shelley and Greg Hardy. They then go to the Cedar Point property with Shelley. Raquel, Dustin, and Shelley then return to Munger, and they still can't find Dee. Raquel calls Amber, Zach, TJ, and Stephanie, and nobody knows where Dee is. But at 10:31, Stephanie calls Dale. Where's Dee? Nobody can find her. He says, I'm surprised that she's calling. Nobody should be there. But I tell her that she was sleeping on the couch. Again, remember, the last time Dale Warner leaves the property is 8:47 a.m. to go spraying. Milestone, the security surveillance footage app on his phone accesses the cameras at 8:49:08 a.m., 8:49:09 a.m., 8:49:39 a.m., and 9:04:07 a.m. Find My iPhone, 8:48:42 a.m., 10:28:48 a.m. Why is Dale accessing the My Cadillac app, the Milestone, and Find My iPhone? And this was from one of the interviews that was a little bit quiet, and we've got the volume maxed up, so I'm going to try to play this portion for you.
And when you access the cameras, what were you looking for? Yeah, when you did access the cameras, what were you looking for? I know it's a silly question, but. Okay, well, there's absolutely no doubt you accessed the cameras that morning. I'm just asking you what you were looking for. It's just like, again, we're trying to move the sheriff's department, so we just need you to explain everything as silly as it sounds, you know?
They were looking to see what cars were buying.
Okay, and that's what you did, you accessed them? They don't be promised to be honest with each other. Just listen, there's absolutely no doubt you access the cameras. If you're just looking for your wife, then just say you're just looking for your wife. I
I was looking for my wife, but I didn't access the security camera.
You have access to them on your phone, right?
Yes, because it'll work. It would not work.
Okay, so when you tried to access the cameras, what were you doing?
I was looking to see who was in the office and he was on the cameras.
Okay, so it's just looking for deep, that's all I was trying to get.
Yeah,
Yeah, looking for deep.
You know, see where she's at, but I already figured she's in Zach's house.
Okay, and that's specifically from your phone, that's what you're trying to do, right?
Right.
Okay, and is that, I think it's called Milestone. Milestone, is that an app you typically have problems with? I'm not familiar with it, is it?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Okay, what are you supposed to be able to do from the app?
You're supposed to be able to see the cameras and see what's going on the cameras.
Okay, and how often do you try to use it?
I'm trying to look at it.
And what percentage of the time do you think it works?
5-10%.
Not too good of a stretch for everyone.
If you're in the office and you want to look at the camera system in your office, it'll work. If you're in the house, if you're working, it'll work. Because you have internet access, I guess, but with your phone, you should have to. And it'll work.
And do you have any other issues with your phone, or is it with that app, do you think? It's the application itself?
I don't know, your phone's always had a glitch in it, a lot of stuff will work.
But by and large, it's this application that gives you issues. Do you pretty much figure your phone with you at all times?
Most of the time.
Okay, so is that something you have your phone with you all day?
I'm pretty sure I was one day.
Okay,
The only time you know is if you drop it somewhere or back drive and find it.
yeah, maybe both. And that Sunday, do you remember about what time Stephanie called you and asked for kilos?
I was thinking it was around 9 o'clock or 9:30.
Okay, and until that point, as far as you knew, she was at home, right? Okay.
I think I texted her telling her how spring so that she.
Okay, so then things are normally different, right? Essentially. Okay. And then, what were you doing? Why did you access the camera like that morning? Did you want to get that for in the garage?
This is the key.
you access that one, you can do all you can do that. I'm not
Unless
sure.
there's something in there, you get it out.
I'm not sure.
If I open the door, get it out.
I'm not saying you drove it, I'm just saying you access it for some reason. No one call on.
Access it, I got it, you mean? I was looking on my app on the phone.
I'm not certain what you did physically with the vehicle, but you had access to the car.
I looked on my phone to see what was that.
Okay.
That would be access to.
Okay, I'm not familiar with what you can do with that. So,
I'm sorry, man, it's just not throw up on my phone and tells me where it's at.
okay.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, tell us about that. I'm not familiar with that.
Just keep on starting, you can start having my phone and start your car. Lock it.
Oh, okay.
And I just look at the button, and tell me where the car's at, it's in the garage.
Okay. And for what purpose are you doing that morning?
Well, it's not there, I see the car's there.
Okay, so you would have accessed that app and it tells you where the car is, and that's why you would have done it to see where she was.
And see the car's open, it's supposed to be open.
Okay. And what about when you tried to locate your iPhone? For what purpose was that?
See what she's doing.
Same thing.
Everybody's trying to find her iPhone.
Okay.
I know that was a little difficult to hear. But the Milestone app for the cameras, I couldn't access it. I tried and I couldn't. It wasn't working. And the OnStar app. If I got in there, I would have been getting something, but I don't remember getting in there. I didn't even have a key. I would have been checking her location. Because if the kids called and said they can't find their mom, I'm going to check. See if it's in the garage. Same thing with Find My iPhone. I was just finding her location. We know from Kyle Wagner, the IT guy, that Dale Warner needed to get that updated the next day because they got a new IP address and he had to put that in so that that camera would start working again on his phone. So we know he wasn't able to access it, but he wanted to see what was on that camera. And he wasn't looking for his wife at those times, at 8:45, 8:49, 8:48, because he didn't know she was missing until 10:30. Find My iPhone. When that phone dies at 7:14 a.m., and you want to make sure that that phone can't be found again, Find My iPhone. Can I find the location? Can I see it? The defendant returns to the Munger farm around 11:18 a.m. Dale goes to the office. He tells Zach and TJ, "Oh, fuck. She left her ring." And he pulls out a $35,000 to $40,000 ring from his pocket, or from his hand. "She left this on my desk." Dale then goes into the house and talks to Raquel in the main bedroom. Dale says that Dee's personal items are gone. Her phone, her go bag, her makeup bag, her curling iron, her hairspray. What else does he say to Raquel that morning? "Everything I've worked for is gone. We barely fought last night. I gave her a massage. And I asked her if she still loved me." Dale told Raquel, "I told Dee, through sickness and in health, for richer, for poor, and I read her our vows." Again, Dee was known to take off for a night or two, go stay at Zach's house, stayed in communication with everybody. She never fell off the face of the earth. The kids wanted to call the police. They had never experienced this before. Out of all the times she's left, they've never called the police. Dale doesn't want to call the police. Let's wait. Dee's kids report her missing anyway. And Austin Hall shows up. 6:55 p.m. He arrives at the Munger farm. Dale tells him that he found out from Stephanie that Dee was missing, that she left her wedding ring. She's never ever left Angelina before. She's never left without her phone or communicating with anybody. She's never left without her vehicles. And that she's secretive and locks her car. That entire conversation on the 25th is about everybody else but Dale, right? He never mentions once that they got into an argument. This is about the employees. This is about her pills, her suicidal tendencies, her wanting to leave.
Alright, so I hear your wife is missing?
Well, I don't know if she's missing or if she just left, so.
Okay, she had an altercation with one of our employees, two of them.
Yesterday, and last night, she was really upset. She was talking a lot of bad things as far as employees. One employee decided to quit. She goes talking about killing herself and taking off and leaving.
Then the following day, Kevin Greca comes to the Munger farm to speak with the defendant. He tells him that Dee called him while he was out in the field working. He could tell he was going to get an ass chewing when she called. And Dee yelled at him, "Why are you telling the help that I'm on Xanax? We're done, we're selling everything." She hung up on him. Dale says, "We never had the selling everything conversation. She brought it up. But he told her, it's not your decision." And he said they never talked about divorce. She wanted to escalate, but I wouldn't go there. After a number of days, Dale's statement is always, Dee's gone for a day or two. She'll be back. She'll be back. Again on April 26th, he's between, she does this all the time, she'll come back, but wait, there's so many things wrong.
I don't know, normally, we have conversations or arguments all the time, it's usually over something in the business. Or she'll get mad, or she'll go over, the ex-house was done away for a day or two, and then she's back, and it's fine, or she takes off, and then she'll still call on phones and do stuff on the phones in the office, so what's weird is the phone's off. This time, she, left it here without anybody, over there, and she put a ring on my desk. And that's 3 flags, and just like, something is definitely wrong.
On April 29th, Kevin Greca's back talking to the defendant, and he talks some more about the length of time Dee would leave for.
She's a shopper.
Shopper.
So I told Kevin, to find my wife, you gotta get a nice hotel, but a big shopping mall or something. I mean, she's gonna be someplace nice, she likes nice things.
Right.
Well, like you said, that's what we're with, too, that's our problem, leaving without the daughter. I mean, you put that in the ring, she's never, right, I mean, the 100 times that she's left for a day or two, she's never left the ring. Of course, my daughter's only been with us for 9 years now, but she's never ever left her daughter. That's what those.
Fast forward to the interview with Detectives Dreyer and Singleton in December of 2022. I'm going to go for it again. I'm going to roll the dice and see if you can hear this. No.
It's awful that. Okay.
I should see an argument, we disagree on how to do things. The strike was no order for this guy's and they've done, so it's disagreement on things that get done for the business.
Okay. And how often would she, to my understanding, it was uncommon for her to leave for a night, it was based on how often would that happen?
That was right.
If you had to guess, how many times a month? Okay. And that was consistent?
And it wouldn't be, you know, she would just often leave, but she just wouldn't tell me shop for the day. Or if she's really pissed off, she'd take off Zach's house and stay for a day or two, or you didn't know, you never knew how long before she'd be back.
Now by December 20th, 2022, you never knew when she was coming back. Let's talk about Tuesday the 27th. Kevin Greco walks the property with Dale during the day. The police arrive with a search warrant Tuesday night after they're asked during the day to leave. Greco calls the defendant to tell him they're searching. They got a search warrant. We've got the dogs. We have the drones. One dog is 20 minutes out. Approximately 18 minutes later, Jaron brings the defendant back to the property. The decision is made to let him continue to farm. We're going to come back to Tuesday because we don't find the body on Tuesday. May 3rd, the defendant's interviewed again. Sunday, did you have any help around here? You know, what's going on Sunday when you get back from spraying?
So did anybody help you work on Sunday? Was anybody around? I know the kids were after checking for Dee, but
I think, after, on Sunday,
oh,
I didn't, on Sunday after I sprayed.
where you were spraying that?
First
Or-
when I came back. I would have to think in my head what the hell I did after that. It's such a blur.
Sure.
He might be on the fence. He might be somewhere in the corner.
No recollection of what he did Sunday. Then he tells Kevin Greco and Austin Hall that his lungs were feeling burnt from breathing in a bunch of anhydrous ammonia.
I'm exposed to chemicals in the water and dust and usually the way out of
Yeah.
pumping anhydrous and my lungs get burnt because I breathe a bunch of it in.
Yeah.
Explaining the coughing and acknowledging that he was exposed to a bunch of anhydrous ammonia. Efforts to find Dee continue. I'm not going to play this one for you because we can't hardly hear it. But in the December 2022 interview with MSP, where is Dee? He's 100%. She's living in Mexico or Jamaica, and she's living with the cartel. Dale, how did she get there? There's no evidence that there's no facial recognition. She's not using her passports. There's no evidence that she's left. How did she get there? You could take a $10 boat ride from Florida, maybe $50, but $10, $20 will get you there. Dee Warner with her designer clothing, her nails, her hair, dressed to the nines, taking a $10 boat ride to live with the cartel in Mexico or Jamaica. May of 2021 through May 2023. Again, continued efforts to look for Dee. Police do numerous searches on the Munger property and other properties that the defendant has access to. They interview dozens of witnesses. October 2021, the FBI does some searches on the Munger property where they seize those journals and the writings, which are all, the loose leaf pages are contained within all those documents. August 2022, state police take over the investigation. Detective Dreyer testified that they did essentially a large-scale search in May of 23 where they searched approximately 3,000 acres. You're talking farmland, woods, swamps, rivers, creeks. No sign of Dee. And he indicated during those searches that they used cadaver dogs, they used article search dogs, they used ground penetrating radar, they used metal detectors. But you heard from Jack Taft. That dog's not going to smell anything. It's welded inside a tank. We'll never find it. As far as the purse and the other items that are still missing, that depends, he says, right? Depends on how long it was exposed to the weather. Maybe 24 hours, you're good. He's not going to find it if it's in any body of water. And the weather affects the ability of the dogs to find the articles as well. Again, those items have never been found. They searched every area that Dale Warner was farming the morning of April 25th. Every area that the GPS on the John Deere said he was, which again was thousands of acres. He had thousands of acres at his disposal to get rid of those items. They've never been seen. After conducting the searches on the 3,000 acres, they decided to come back and excavate Paragon Road on the north side of the road. Why do they do that? Because while they're executing searches on the other properties the previous day, Dale Warner returns to Paragon Road. He has to be kicked off the property. They secure the property. Dale arrives the following morning when they're getting ready to set up shop, and he offers to help them dig. He's never offered to help during any other search, during anything else over the course of that 2 years, and he's offering to help dig. Still no sign of Dee. Detective Dreyer acknowledged that he was focused underground, and that was a mistake. He wished he wasn't so focused underground, but everything he did and the information that he had, he believed that that's where she was at. May 4th, 2021, the defendant searched for how to dispose of a 1,000-gallon propane tank. The April 25th, 2021 surveillance footage shows Dale gathering all the welding accessories. The search underground is when you follow that link and it shows you how to bury the tank. They knew she was welded into something, but again, they thought she was buried. In June or July of 2024, they then switch focus. We've done everything we can to look underground. Let's find these tanks. Let's find out what tanks he had access to, where they're stored. Let's go inspect them. I also have to do additional research because there's a bunch of anhydrous ammonia tanks on the property. And I'm not real familiar with it, but I know it could be a problem. So I need to contact all the people that I need to get information from before I head over there with my search warrant. They go to the Munger farm. They go across the street to Carson farm that Dale owned, and they go to Paragon Road where Dale owned the barn on the south side of the road where he stored the tanks. And there in the back was tank 34. It had a service tag, out of service, bad dip tube, do not fill. The farm employee said, I didn't write that. They noticed a weld that looked bad, looked real bad. There's a photograph of the tag. And you guys will have all this evidence if you want to look at anything. When you go back there to deliberate, you'll be able to look at that tag for yourself. Based on this, Detective Dreer gets another search warrant to take that tank to the Ambassador Bridge to have it scanned. After all those years, here she is. So what does he do? You take the tank to Northville, where the lab personnel come out and dust it for prints. Then they take it to the Monroe post, where that end is cut off. And they observe Dee Warner's body wrapped in a tarp. Again, there was nothing, no personal items found inside that tank that belonged to Dee Warner. Detective Dreer could not take anything off of Dee Warner's body at that time because the medical examiner has jurisdiction, and they said no. They go to the autopsy. We cannot process anything, the tape, the tarp, the clothing, anything found inside that tank, the lab has said is not suitable for testing. Then we heard from our fingerprint analyst. Defendant's left middle finger is right there on the ammonia sticker. Paint samples were taken from the old shop and sent to the lab. It's consistent with what was found on the property. Although it's consistent with a lot of other paints, they were able to exclude paint and say, this couldn't have been used, but this very well could have been used to paint that tank. The tag on the tank, you guys have a lot of information from the FBI. There's pages and pages of Dale's handwriting. Take that tag and look at it. See the ends? Compare the ends, compare the Fs. You go back there and look at it and decide. The next thing that detectives do is consult an expert welder, Justin Schmidt. And we heard from Justin. That tank end was cut off with an abrasive cutoff wheel. How does he know that? Photographs from inside the tank where you saw the shredding. An object such as a hook was welded to the top of the end cap to hold it up. Whoever welded that tank likely attached a chain to the hook. To line the end back up in order to weld it, something would be needed to cradle underneath. Here at 1251, we're in the old shop. Angle grinder and discs. 114, the old shop. Ah, the hooks. $115, he starts to walk out. Forgot something. Chain. Angle grinder and discs, hooks and chains. Dale heads from there towards the spray barn. He's there for approximately 7 minutes with the angle grinder and discs. The angle grinder, disc, hook, and chain are from 126 to 146 and 341 to 329. Walking back to the spray barn. We know that door locks. There are photographs, and Ivan testified about that. Sprayer leaves the property approximately 1:48. But returns by 2:18. Up to the office. We heard testimony that Dale was in and out of the office, Dale was in and out of the spray barn, Dale was in and out of the new shop and the old shop. And every time he was in the office, just kind of looking over their shoulders, see what they're doing. He'd say he was going to spray or he was going to go do this, but then he'd come back and it just didn't seem like he was working. Again. .341, Dale's heading north on this camera towards the spray barn. Now we see the view of the office where we know that the kids have spent a majority of the day looking at the cameras. 4 o'clock is the last time that camera activates in the office for that day. The kids leave the property. Then we see Dale and Todd leaving the area of the spray barn. Justin told us that the tank was re-welded with a gas metal arc welding process, typically called MIG welding. I'm not a welder, but he taught me a lot. The welder would need a welding mask and welding gloves. At approximately 4:35, Dale is on the JCB driving it slowly to the spray barn from the area of the new shop. We know that later on, you can't observe what's in the bucket of it at that time, but we know later on, when he's observed driving slowly, it's with that JCB, or it's with that welder in the bucket. I apologize. Approximately 4:52, he's back in the old shop. At the welder. Five o'clock. Back to the spray barn. Walking back out. Heading back to the old shop. And leaving with welding gloves and a welding mask. We know he didn't take a welder from the old shop that was gotten on surveillance footage. The last photograph from the new shop at approximately 3:13 shows that welder just to the left of the green toolbox. And the next time that camera activates, the defendant is walking away. And you now have the welder in front of the toolbox. This is one of the welders that was located on the property during the search of the Munger farm. Justin Schmidt said that that is absolutely the type of welder that would cause create the welding marks and the indications of welding that he observed on the tank. We have a welding mask and a couple more welders here. And you've got the welding gloves. Now this area, if you look at the ramp on the left, go up to the top of it, on the other side of that is where you're going to find those gloves and that mask. Dale's back to the spray barn from approximately 5:07 to 6:06 p.m., another 59 minutes. And there he is on the Kubota, coming out with the JCB. Back to the spray barn. What else does Justin tell us? If you're welding and you had short sleeves on, the next day you would have a sunburn. That's the defendant on the 26th of April. That was not on the body cam footage from April 25th, the day before, because it hadn't yet had time to come out. How much time would you need to get this job done? Justin testified that cutting off the end of that tank would take approximately 50 minutes. Welding it back on, between 21 to 35 minutes. Sanding the weld down, another 5 minutes. On the low end, you could get this done in 76 minutes. On the upper end, you're looking at 90 minutes. Detective Singleton testified that there were numerous times that the defendant was in that spray barn or back towards that spray barn where it was less than 10 minutes. And there were times where he said, okay, these are the times where it's more than 10 minutes at a time. At a minimum, we have the defendant at the spray barn for 138 minutes on the low end, which gives him plenty of time to get that job done. We saw the map, and we heard testimony that that spray barn had that door on the north end of it. Dale drives out the north door of that spray barn and drops the tank off at the junk pile. Look at the tank. I'm going to zoom in on it really quick. I'm going to zoom back out. The tank, the marks come from the north of the tank and go to the east. Dale then returns to the spray barn, and Ivan shows up at approximately 6:28. Ivan says, I don't know, I was back there for I don't know, I might have been doing trash. "6:37, we see the JCB go by with a white object on it. And there goes Ivan. Now we see the JCB hit the camera this time. "6:41, coming slowly from the spray barn with the welder in the bucket. Again, 6:43, walking away from the welder. 6:46, Dale brings the JCB to the old shop where Ivan and his brother are working. Gets out. Ivan does some trash in the old shop. This is 6:07 with the old shop fuel cameras. Look at the zoomed in photograph. There's nothing back there. "6:37, look at the pile. Not only is that tank to the far left over there, but you can now see a pile of white in the burn pit. Here's this one. There's that one. After Dee's body is found, the police go back and look at evidence from Tuesday. What do we have? Jason Gravel. 5 o'clock, Jason Gravel moves old rusty tank 8. Dale says, go move a tank from out back for me by the burn pile, take it and put it in the spray barn. This is after the police were there earlier in the day. And they said, and Dale says to him, come back tomorrow or whenever. I mean, if you let me know, you can come back, but you can't be here today. So, Ravel goes to move tank 8 at the request of the defendant to put that in there so he can work on it. Parker Hardy then arrives to the property around 7 o'clock. He goes to the spray barn to fill up. Dale Warner arrives to the property at 7:27. Parker meets him in the spray barn. What the hell is that, Dale? Why do you have that tank in here? I asked an employee to move it in here for me so I could work on it, and they brought the wrong tank. That's not the one I wanted. This is 427, a combination of the body camera, the drone footage, and the surveillance footage. Approximately 8:30 at night when they come back, 8:35 at night when they come back with a search warrant.
Whatever. So I went to visit my dad when I was talking to you, and my partner did type up a search warrant. We do have that. I'm standing here with both of your daughters at the front door. I'm sorry, side door. And I'll explain everything to you. We do. It is for the dogs, the drone thing. So basically, we saw it earlier. As of right now, we're not going in your house. We already went through there. So it's just a matter of the dogs. It's completely. Let me see. My recorder's going right now. It wasn't for a second. It's going right now, so the whole thing will be recorded. If you want to come home, you absolutely can. If you don't want to come home, you don't need to. As far as what we're going to do, yeah, drones. That's exactly it. Yeah, the dogs. One dog's here already. The other dog is, I think, about 20 minutes out. I just wanted to tell you, obviously, that you're not here, and just keep you updated. I'm not trying to hide anything from you, but if we come to the process, if we come tomorrow, that in the event there's something suspicious or someone doing some low activity, then how can we say anything? This will shut up the other side of the family. You get that? Well, no, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry. You're 100% right. It will not shut up the other family, but at least I've done it. But I've done everything I can at that point. And you, yep. Yep, and we will, just paperwork on that, so we will drop, if you're home by then, it's going to take a little while, well over an hour, I'm sure. If you're home, I can give you the paperwork. If you're not home, I can leave it with your daughter. And that's it. If you got any questions, I'll have my phone on the whole time, so just give me a holler, okay? All right, thanks. Yep, bye.
Thank you.
Yep. Are you a family member or are you just who's? Dale. Okay. All right. Hey.
Dale immediately calls his son Jaron, who's standing there, and when asked if Jaron wants to walk around the property with him, he can't. He has something to take care of. I want you to notice what's parked out here. You got a sprayer, and then you have a truck on the other side, and that's the spray barn. 2:55, Jaron pulls back onto the Munger Road property. Ryan Rank says the defendant was sitting in the passenger seat and they drove right by me and pulled into that barn. Jaron backs up and leaves. And again, who's on that JCB? The defendant. Where's he going? Tank by the burn pile. And drives away with it. What does Ryan Rank say? That caught my attention. Something was wrong, so I followed it. Where does the defendant go? Straight back to the spray barn. What do you see parked up there now? The black vehicle. They're continuing to look through the evidence that we've missed for so long. They go back to Thursday the 29th. Body camera footage shows tank in the spray barn. Austin Hall says he was spraying the floors and was spraying us out of the building. Here's a close-up of the tank at the end of the barn. No decals on it yet. What else do we see? We see this big safe. We see a chain. The pallet jacks. The chain, the pallet jacks were all directly in front of the safe. Remember what Justin said. You would need something to cradle the bottom of that, to line it up. Essentially the weld, he could tell the weld was started on the bottom because of the way the top fit. The top didn't fit. He needed something to support underneath. He said that pallet jack would have worked. There was some blocks of 2x4s in there, he said, would have worked. But these items are directly in front of the safe. Again, on 429, that good-looking fella, K-9 officer, walks up and...
Guy, but, alright, this is,
Two days out, Mr. Taylor.
The building, and this is going to show you too if you wanted to, but it's the far east building is a chemical one, and it's just whatever.
We've been loading insecticide and fungicides. Sure. I just didn't want you to take the dog in there because the floor is still covered with it, and they'll soak up to your feet. We lost one of our shepherds and that.
What you get?
He indicated that they never checked inside that barn. They do what they're told to do by the OIC. He didn't not go in the barn because the defendant told him not to. It wasn't an area of concern at that time. But again, his dog would have never smelled a body inside the tank to begin with. That tank was identified by its unique design by multiple witnesses. So if you look at you're going to get the book of photographs of all the anhydrous tanks that were located, and a number of witnesses testified about the pop-off on the end, the round cover. And here we don't have that. We have this unique tank. Ivan's never seen one like this. Jim's never seen one like this. Ryan Rank's never seen one. Nobody's seen one like this. This is April 27th, 2021. When police have now discovered that Dee's remains are inside that tank, they take the return and tab, they call Jared and they tell him, we're going to take the tank up to the bridge and have it scanned, even though they already knew it was in there. If we can't figure out what's inside there, we're going to have to cut it open. When he's told this, that it's tank 34, listen closely to him say that's not good. And if you want to take, again, you're going to get this exhibit. If you want to take it back there and listen to it because you can't hear it, please do.
And take tank number 34 is what their search warrant said.
Tank number 34?
Yeah, I don't know what the specifics of that is or what, but I think this is fucking idiocracy. Yeah. So they took that tank and now they're using x-rays or something. They're not using x-rays, they're cutting it open. At least I'll go to waste of fucking time. Yeah.
Then he asked Jaron, is that the tank that we painted and put new decals on? Not one of the tanks. Is that the tank that we painted and put new decals on?
So which one do you think is that one we painted, is that the one we painted up with the new details or something?
That is the same tank that was painted with decals. Their continued search also uncovers internet searches, widowers' dating sites, chemical cremation. These are log entries from March 21st, 2021 and March 23rd, 2021. Dee snuck out 2 a.m., didn't get home until 4 a.m. March 23rd, 2021. She snuck out again at 2 a.m. The defendant has, at this point, searched for his wife's location over 2,100 times. But guess when he didn't search for her location? The 2 times that he indicated in his journal that she's sneaking out at night. That's the time you don't care? Question mark, drug dealer, question mark, boyfriend. He was adamant in the beginning, she doesn't have any boyfriends. I know for a fact she doesn't have any boyfriends. But a month before, he journaled that she was sneaking out and maybe she had a boyfriend. That's not important when you report you didn't report your wife missing, I'm sorry. When your wife's children reported her missing, you didn't think that was important to share? Not on the 21st and not on the 23rd does he check her location. You'll see a big gap on there, March 4th to March 22nd. In his journal, March 5th, they leave for Florida. They return on the 21st. He doesn't need to track her. She's with him. I've talked a lot and I'm sorry. This is important for both sides. The elements of first-degree murder are that Dale caused Dee's death with the intent to kill, with premeditation and deliberation. Now, again, you guys were asked in the beginning of this, it doesn't premeditate, there's no set time limit, right? It could be very quickly. Just like running, you see a yellow light, what am I going to do, right? I'm going to go or I'm going to hit the brakes. It's that quickly. Second-degree murder, Dale caused Dee's death with the intent to kill, with the intent to cause great bodily harm, or with knowingly creating a very high risk of death or great bodily harm, knowing that death or such harm would be the likely result of his actions. Here's what I want you to think about. When thinking about intent, the defendant's state of mind may be inferred from the type of wounds inflicted, the acts and the words of the defendant, and any other circumstances surrounding the killing. The prosecutor does not need to have a motive to prove that the defendant had reason to commit the crime. But
I've been through one divorce. I should just held over to go through another one, no matter what. It's not worth
he was not getting another divorce. It wasn't worth it. We heard everything he lost in his last divorce. He wasn't doing that again. 2022, he's always, again, been very consistent that he massaged his wife that night. He actually describes that for detectives in 2022. What does the autopsy tell us? 2 causes of death: strangulation and blunt force trauma to the face and head. Strangulation, we have petechial hemorrhaging, which Dr. Cho testified was extreme pressure, caused by extreme pressure on the neck, and it caused the vessels to burst in there. There was bruising on the front of the neck and bruising on the tongue. I'm going to show you another photo, and injury to her, the external portion of her neck. When he described the blunt force trauma to the face and her head, she had a contusion on her left cheek, contusion on her right cheek, a contusion of the lateral left eye, a contusion to the back of the head. You saw the left shoulder. She had an internal brain bleed from the obvious blunt force injuries to the head. When you're thinking about this yellow light and what are you going to do, how many times do you need to think about it? Contusion to the left cheek, contusion to the right cheek, 1, 2, contusion to the lateral left eye, 3, contusion to the back of the head, 4. She was wrapped in a tarp, wearing her pajamas. She had her earrings, her ring. She had duct tape over her mouth and nose. Because if you didn't kill her by strangling her and beating her, you were going to make sure she didn't breathe again by duct taping her mouth and nose. Again, She never left the house alive. She was in her pajamas with no socks and no shoes. He told Raquel and the police that he recited their wedding vows to her that night, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. I've been through one divorce. I'm not doing it again, no matter what. It's not worth it. He had multiple chances to think about what he was doing. We are asking for a verdict of first-degree murder. Tampering with evidence. There's a lot of words for basic concept. There was some evidence to be offered in a present or future official proceeding. Either there was a current proceeding going on, or there was to be some future proceeding going on. The future proceeding is this homicide trial. The defendant removed, altered, concealed, destroyed, or otherwise tampered with evidence. He removed his wife's body from the house, wrapped her in tarps and duct tape, welded her into a tank, removed her purse, her go bag, her phone, got rid of them, concealed them, altered them, destroyed them. When the defendant tampered with the evidence, he did so on purpose and not by accident. Absolutely. She left. She's in Jamaica. She's in Mexico. She's not here, right? She does this all the time. I can't believe everybody's so worked up. He got rid of that, her personal items, to continue the lie that she left. Those kids didn't fall for it. They knew something was wrong, and they called the police. The evidence was intended to be used in a criminal case where open murder was charged. Yes, it was. Detective Jurger testified about cell phones and the usefulness of cell phones during homicide trials. The body. Why is the body so important? Cause and manner of death. Cause and manner of death, which is strangulation and blunt force trauma and homicide. I'm asking you to return a verdict of guilty in the first degree and tampering with evidence.